Hello, Anne-Marie. How are you?
So good. Look at how good you look in your headwear. You know, I love me some headwear.
You do, and I love your green lipstick. You wore the green lipstick because we had Verdant, our professional development cohort this morning, and Verdant means lush and green and fabulous. If those of you watching at home don't know. Love it, love it. Well, hello everyone. If you're here, you have found Story and Printing on YouTube. Congratulations. We love it. We hope that you have also subscribed to our channel. Every little subscriber means so much to us. So we so appreciate you. And at Story and Printing, we teach great companies and great people the art and science of storytelling and narrative and how to infuse that into your day-to-day business interactions to just be a better human and to infuse some humanity into your business. Anne-Marie, on that note, I know that you are working on a fabulous piece for LinkedIn. Would you like to tell the audience what the piece is about?
It's how to work with people you can't stand, Holly.
And I have to share with all of you that when she told me that she was working on this piece, I was like, I hope that's not about me because we're a team of two. Like, I hope that that's not steeped in some real personal experience.
Awkward, so awkward. No, it's absolutely not you. So this came up because we both coach lots of individual clients, and they often come to us struggling with someone inside of their organization or a client, and they want a solution for it, and they think the solution is how to fix this person. And so before we get into that, let's talk about some of our favorite people that we can't stand to work with. And by we, I mean the world globally. And these archetypes that you really struggle with. Holly, please feel free to name some of yours.
The one-upper.
The one-upper. So let's first define the one-upper, shall we? The one-upper is someone who it's like, if you say, oh my gosh, I just won $20 in a lottery ticket, they're going to tell you about the time 12 years ago they won 200.
That's right.
You spilled some coffee on your shirt today and want to complain about it, they're going to tell you they got third-degree burns 18 years ago.
It's like the struggle Olympics, right? And you're like, wait a minute, I thought we were talking about me for a second. How did we start talking about you for 20 minutes? We all know one too. We all know one.
And Holly, it's on both ends. They're either struggling or they've done everything better than you.
That's right.
They cannot just give someone space to express their experience.
Yeah.
They must insert their own experience. If you know of someone like that, drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
We won't hear from you. We won't tell, but we'd love to tell. I'm also not a real fan of the sort of drama queen or crisis king.
Oh, yes.
Where everything is catastrophized all of the time. It's like everything is it's a disaster.
It's exhausting.
It's a disaster. Most things aren't a disaster. Like the vast majority of things, they're just not. I mean, there are very few real catastrophic disasters that are totally unrecoverable from. And those people are always at the same speed. It doesn't matter what it is. They're constantly at that speed. Who else do we have that's the know-it-all?
The know-it-all. The negative Nancy.
Oh, the negative.
The dramatic Dawn.
Yeah, the negative Nancy is when it's like, oh my gosh, we just closed our first $1 million contract. And she's like, now we have to fulfill it.
It's like Eeyore. It's like Eeyore personified, but not as cute.
But it's not cute at all. It is not lovable or cute at all. And the thing that all of these people have in common, I think, is it allows we become very reactive to these people. Right. I think we are often not our best and highest self with these people. Our communication can be clipped. It can be annoyed. It can be dismissive. I think that we can find ourselves talking about these people rather than to these people. And I think, you know, as one of my dear friends likes to say, his partner he would always say to his partner, why are you pushing my buttons? And he would always say, because they're so big and red and shiny. And so it's like this idea that somebody else is impacting your mood, your energy. And that's the other thing. I think it's a huge energy depleter.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about reimagining these people and who they are. And you might be thinking, what on earth does this have to do with storytelling? Well, I'm going to gosh dang tell you about it. But
We know, I know, you will.
Girl in the turban, she knows what it is. It's that every human being that comes to you comes with a story. And that story also comes in the form of a wound very often. And what I want you to know is that person who is one-upping you is a little girl or a little boy that is screaming, love me, love me, love me. And if you can remember that and you can approach them with the idea of what would love do in this situation? And can I be more compassionate and kind and allow that one-upmanship to be about them and know that it has nothing to do with me? You liberate yourself from that reactivity and it allows you to rise to your best and highest self. You're not going to change that behavior in that person. You're just not.
I tried, it does not work. You're just like even more depleted.
Ollie's like, no, it's not a possibility. And more to the point, it's not your job to change them.
Right.
Your job is to work with this person and to find a way to just sort of understand that that's how they communicate in the world. And as distasteful as it might be, and it might be, your job is to understand how not to become triggered by them and react in a way that's negative. And the reason is it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve them. I think we all have somebody where they fantasize the day they're going to quit. You're like secretly sending them jobs. Like, you could work here. I heard of this.
Hey, Nancy, have you heard about this opportunity?
Yeah. Hey,
right up your alley.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, I think that the only way to approach people like this is to really be thinking about, this sounds like such a strange thing to say in a business context, but I use this phrase often, is what would love do? And I think love is compassionate and kind and generous. And I think it's a very hard thing to do. And I want to wholly admit, I am not able to do this all the time. Holly is not able to do this all the time. We struggle with it and we're very honest with each other. We'll complain about something and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then one of us will go, yeah, but that person's just wounded. And then we're like, yeah, that's true. That's true. They're wounded. Yeah. I know. Okay. I'm going to be better.
You're right. I'm going to shut up about it now.
Yeah. All right. I'm done about it. And it's not, and what I want to sort of say to you is, I don't think that these behaviors are something that, are not annoying or frustrating or, detrimental in some way to sort of the team and the energy. And also, I think you are better served when you manage yourself. Part of anxiety and stress is trying to manage things that are outside of your control. You have no control over somebody's reaction. You only have control over your own. So I think, a takeaway from this is think about who's really driving you crazy and triggering you. And I also want to say something that I think is very, very important. And I wrote about this. I am not talking about people who are abusive to you and bullies. That's not what we're talking about. And we want to be exceptionally clear about that. No one ever, anywhere, for any reason deserves to be abused. Period. Full stop. Under any circumstance. That's not what we're talking about. We're simply talking about people that you find really annoying, that you can't stand. You don't have to like those people. You need to learn how to honor who they are, where they are, even though you don't like them and would probably not invite them to a picnic. What other thoughts do you have on this, Holly?
I just think, it goes back to one of those, like the hardest lessons of my adult life. And I say this over and over in coaching, has been to realize that no amount of me contorting myself will change someone. And again, it's not my job to do that. All I can control is how I show up. And that's really what you're talking about, right? These strategies to control how you show up and how you respond. You cannot control that person and how they're going to show up to the meeting or show up to, to a project or whatever. What you can control is sort of how you temper your own response. And I think that just goes back to our critical core mission, which is to humanize business, right? And I think now more than ever, we were just in a training talking about the fact that yes, people are, we're going back to some sort of hybrid work approach. Remote is always going to be there. There are always going to be members of your team, most likely, that are remote in some fashion. The way that we work together is going to look totally different because maybe your company has hot desks now and you don't have a dedicated office and you don't know what your day is going to look like when you get there. And all that means is that we're being sort of asked to reimagine how we interact with one another in this new, sort of new frontier. What you can control is yourself. And that's scary sometimes, but it's also really liberating. And I think having these tactics and techniques to deal with these people that make you a little bit crazy is incredibly important as we move forward. So I appreciate all your great guidance as usual. And all your jokes.
And I would just say as the last thing, I think boundaries are really important.
Yes.
If you have somebody who's catastrophizing all the time, you get to say, you know what, I don't find this particularly useful. You know, for me, I think that this way of perceiving this all of the time is particularly useful. So it's just not an angle I'm going to take. I'm not suggesting you don't erect boundaries. I'm just suggesting that there's sometimes that there's not much you can do about the way people are walking through the world. And the only thing you can do is acknowledge that person has a wound that you cannot see. And their behavior is an expression of that wound and that story.
Yeah, totally agree. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. If you're watching this and you loved it, drop a like, drop a comment. If there are other topics that you want to hear us talk about on our YouTube channel, please let us know, because all of our content is coming from people just like you who have needs, who want to hear, fresh takes on stuff. So please let us know. Follow us here on YouTube. Also check us out on LinkedIn. We post lots of articles and content there. We are also at www.storyandprinting.com, and you can check out all of what we do there as well. Be good to each other. Have a wonderful week, wonderful short week. Take care.